And never approach at the end of a game.
Yeah. I'm too busy for that.
I have a quick question here, actually. It's not so much with regards to individuals getting into the gaming industry. It's actually probably directed more towards the guys at Vicarious, but maybe anyone here can comment. At what stage, if you have a company and you have a product that you feel you want to put into the gaming industry, at what stage should you approach a publisher? Is it the prototyping stage? And more importantly, what is it exactly that the publisher is going to want to look for? I mean, is it simply going to be, you know, a demo reel, or is it going to be something much more established, the way the game's going to work, what kind of graphic engine you're going to use? I mean, when is it the right time to go after a publisher?
I think that's a really good question. I think the two key things that you need is a very good pitch document and a demo, a prototype, something that illustrates your work. But it needs to be like immediate as to why it's unique and why it would sell. And you need to address that in the pitch document right away. Just cut to the chase, because there's so many different games out there, and they aren't terribly original, and your product is just going to look like everything else unless you can immediately state in like first sentence or two why this product is unique and why it's going to sell.
So a lot of it you think does come down to the initial pitch.
It does come down to the pitch, but you need to be able to show the product as well, because publishers see hundreds and hundreds of design docs and all sorts of stuff. It's not cool to send them a 100-page design doc or something and, hey, look at all this work that I put into it. That doesn't matter. Something really slim. I mean, something even that's 3 or 4 pages tops that essentially just systematically goes down and states what's unique about the product, why it would sell. A little bit of a summary as to what the product is, and show some of the originality there, and some of the features that make the product stand out. And you have to really show that you understand the market, because they're not interested in products that don't sell, obviously. And you can demonstrate the knowledge of the market and be able to say, well, this is what the market is, this is what this product does better, more improved, innovative in these areas. And you need to be able to follow up with that with a demonstration where it's immediate. Now, one of the things that we found is very challenging with a game like Terminus is that it's a very cool concept, but it's a very complex world, and you need to put some effort into it to really see all the intricacies of it. And early on, when we didn't have a prototype that demonstrated all of what's cool, you couldn't really distinguish it from another title, except that we planned to do X, Y, and Z. And at that point, publishers are like, well, you guys are on crap, and you guys are going to be able to pull this off. And so, I mean, those are, very real questions. And by systematically going back and not being an annoyance, you really find out, well, what are the problem areas? I mean, even up until recently, a few months back, one of the major problem areas for Terminus was the learning curve was really pretty steep because of its physics, the Newtonian physics engine and all that kind of stuff. By asking the publishers, well, what is it that you're looking for? What do you think is wrong with it? Even if they don't quite understand the product, their points are very valid because that's how they've interpreted it. And you're able to fine-tune your presentation and then, also your product as well, to show that you can say, okay, you said to me a couple months ago, these are the problem areas. Look at this now. We've corrected these problem areas, and this is why. And you get a better understanding of what you're creating, but you have to really put it in perspective into the market, And I think when you start getting an idea of that, that's probably the right time. Not only do you have the materials, but you have a pretty good understanding of where the product's going to go. But the other thing you need to show in the pitch document is that you're going to be able to deliver. As far as what's the product timeline? Do you need financing for the product? I mean, how reliable is the group? Are they going to stick it through? Because finishing is so hard, and that's what they're looking for.
I guess supplemental, you actually touched on it just now by mentioning financing, is if we already have a certain amount of financing in place, what have you found from your own experiences has been the best way to achieve additional financing? Has it been going and presenting your company to be financed in, or going after project to project? What I'm saying is it easier to pitch a project as opposed to the overall company?
Project is important, but I mean, when people invest in you, I mean, we've had money come in through private investors. They're investing in the people and your credibility. Are you going to be able to just stick it through and make it happen? And so it's just as much presenting your company and the people as it is the product. And I would gauge it as equally as important.
It's time to pitch a publisher when you can answer the two questions that are on their mind. You know, how am I going to sell this to customers, to consumers, and how am I going to be assured that you're going to actually show up and deliver? So, you know, there is no sort of right time to pitch because, you know, the key to the pitch document is basically to show them this is what you're going to say to customers to make them buy this game. And if you can't sell the publisher, there's no way the publisher is going to sell, you know, the consumer. And also, as far as the demo goes, I mean, again, it's mitigating risk. If you can turn up with a finished game that just needs to go into the box, just needs to be tested going into the box, then they have a reasonable amount of expectation that's actually going to ship, which is why a lot of times you see distribution deals go with, you know, attached with higher royalty rates and higher advances because they know what they're buying. There's not a whole lot of risk associated with it relative to, I've got an idea in my head and here's some character sketches. So sort of the later in the process you can go, the better. But unfortunately, you know, you're probably going to want to go, you know, early so that you can get financing, so that you can lock down your deals, so you can get promotions set up. There is actually some downside to going too late in the process because we've seen titles come out from publishers that Crack.com did this with, you know, with their first game. They went to EA, they pitched very, very late in development for a distribution deal. And so EA said, ooh, good, something we can get fourth quarter revenue on. And so they popped it in a box and shipped it out. Nobody had really heard about it. EA didn't get behind it with a whole bunch of marketing. Right? The title didn't do that well. So, you know, it's a very fine line. You've got to convince them that it's far enough along that it's just, you know, it's on the down slope as far as risk goes. But on the other hand, it's got to be early enough that they feel some investment, they feel some requirement to get behind it and push it.
And the publisher actually just winds up betting on you, and the more money they have to bet, or the riskier their investment, the less money you'll make. Talking to a lot of these startup companies, one thing that is pretty true is you won't make money in your first product. You will hopefully live as a company and survive and make a name for yourself. And based on the success of that first product, you'll be able to make money on your second, third, and fourth projects. But it's pretty unrealistic to think you're going to get rich on your first project.
Definitely agree with that.
I want to step back a little ways in the whole production of the path, I guess. In terms of making a demo or first game, what speaks more to you? An actual full-fledged game with all the, you know, the menu screen and all the options and, you know, all the little tail ends closed up, or just a demo that gives you the, you know, aspects of the game that are unique? You know, in terms of making a name for us, what speaks more to you, a demo or a full game?
As a company or as an individual worker looking for work, I think.
I guess personally I'm interested in both.
Well, as a company, you have to do, you know, you have to demonstrate that you can finish something. As an individual programmer or an artist, you want to be able to demonstrate some sort of discrete functionality. You can point and say, I did this thing, and it's really unique. So it really depends on what you do.
What I want to say, there's only one question for games is fun. That's the only question that has to be answered.
But if you want to be a programmer, then you have to show, you know, I did this thing that another way.
And Sid Meier said that you don't finish a game, you just stop working on it. if you leave a development team
Well,
to,
that
you
goes
know.
true for Sid.
Yeah. But I mean, it's true. You gotta. Again, it goes back to the school, the discipline thing. At school, you're expected to have a deadline. You know, you got that essay due on Friday. You don't do it. If you don't go to university and your buddies say, why are you wasting your time?